Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. This is the second book in the Expanse series, which is an adult science fiction series. I've read and reviewed the first book, which I will link on the screen, because while this is spoiler-free for this book, I might mention some things that happen in that book if you haven't read it already. So this book takes place sometime after the events of the first book. Venus is now proto-molecule infested, and people don't really know what to do with that, and Holden and his crew are working for the OPA, and everything is just kind of, there's like ramifications now of what happened in the first book, and people are having to face the things that happened in that first book and kind of what that means for the solar system, as well as what that means for them personally. There are 4 different POVs in this book. One of them is Holden, who is from the first book, and then 3 are brand new POVs, 2 of them being women, and I was very happy to see that. So first off, I'm going to talk about the world building. So in this, you do get to see different parts of the solar system and how those different places work and all of the things that kind of go on between the different planets and the different systems and stuff like that. So that was really fun to see. You kind of get that space opera vibe, even more so with this book because you're seeing multiple different people from different places as well, and kind of how they're relating to the different situations. So with that in mind, let me get into the characters. Like I said, Holden is the only one that is a returning character from the first book, and he wasn't my favorite character in the first book. He did grow on me in this book. I think because a lot of the characters call him out on his bullshit, and he also is having to face a lot of repercussions for some of his actions. He has some PTSD from what he went through in the first book, and he just feels a little more well-rounded and not just kind of like this good guy archetype, which is kind of what he was in the first book. The new characters I adore, especially the 2 female characters. So there's a scientist character who's a male character who is also enjoyable, but not someone that I'm like super attached to, but he definitely, all the POVs have a different feel to them, which is great. When you have 2 POVs, sometimes people tend to get a little bit lost. I feel like in the first book that was sort of the case, where I felt like since it was just 2 male characters, I was kind of just feeling like they had a very similar narrative voice with the first book. This, everyone I felt like had a different narrative voice. So the scientist has this very scientific, analytical type way of even having his chapters. And then the 2 female characters are so good, so amazing. I love them so much. I was so tempted to look up information about the casting of the show and to see if they were in the show, but I didn't because I didn't want to get spoiled for anything and just seeing like maybe if a character died or something. But they are 2 women from even different parts of the solar system and different governments than Holden, and they bring a whole new perspective. One of them is an older woman who's in the government for Earth, I think, and foul-mouthed and amazing. I love her so much. And then the other woman is a Marine for Mars who are kind of against Earth, and everything in this like solar system is a little bit different. And she's really great too. She's described as this like really huge woman because of where she's from, and oh, I love them both, and that's why I wanted to see the casting of both of them, because I found them so interesting and so compelling. So I hope we see more of them in the future books. But what was great about this and why I'm talking about the female characters so much is because in the first book there were no female POVs, and a lot of the female characters were used kind of as motivators for the male characters, which you know how I feel about that, and didn't seem to have much of their own agency. And in this book I feel like the female characters really had their own agency and really felt like fully fleshed out characters that were existing in the world outside of what the men were doing, which is always great. Last thing to talk about the plot. These books are really fun and fast to get through. I felt like the beginning was dragging a slight bit, but it was kind of setting up how the politics is working and like all of that. But when the last book was like, at the end was so much was happening, and then you have this lag, this break between the 2 books, and you know things have kind of calmed down. You kind of are like, oh, I wanna get going again. Kind of like the beginning of Stranger Things season 2, if you have watched that, or you feel like you're like, wait, where's the action bits? But this tends to take off fairly quickly, and it did, and you kind of start to see what's happening now and what's changing now, and it's really interesting. I really enjoy it. Shit is gonna hit the fan throughout the series, and it's so much fun. What I was constantly thinking of with this is kind of like Game of Thrones. I wouldn't say this is Game of Thrones in space by any means, but that feeling you get when you're watching Game of Thrones or reading the books or whatever, where like you're watching all the political stuff go down, but the White Walkers are coming. That's how I feel about this. We're like, okay, yes, there's politics, but shit's coming. Alien shit is coming, okay? Like, you have bigger things to worry about, and there's like space zombies in here and stuff, which is why it gives me a similar feel to like some of the Game of Thrones stuff. But that's kind of what's going on. So you have the tension of the political stuff with the tension of like the alien messed up stuff, and it's really fun. The last like 3 sentences of this book, like there was a lot of good action before that, but the last 3 sentences were like, oh shit, like, oh shit. So I'm very, very excited for the rest of the series, and I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, possibly 4.5 even. Thinking about it, I liked it even more than I liked the first book. I thought the first book was a solid foundation. I liked this one even more. So I'm not going to be doing a spoilery gush on this because I think I'm just going to do it either every couple books for this series or just do like a wrap up at the end with all of my thoughts, but I'm not going to be doing a spoilery gush. If you guys are fans of the series and you want me to do gushes for every book, comment down below and let me know, and I may do that. But I find with the later books in a series, the gushes and the reviews just don't tend to get as much engagement, and that's kind of why I want to talk and review books, is for the engagement purposes. So if you guys really want me to do gushes on books later on in the series, comment down below, let me know that. But for right now, I'm just planning on doing like finale book gushes and stuff like that. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts on Caliban's War. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.